pas de soleil, 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 pas de soleil.
Sliema is a town located on the northeast coast of Malta in the Northern Harbour District. It is a major residential and commercial area and a centre for shopping, bars, dining, and cafe life. It is also the most densely populated town on the island. Lining the coastline is a promenade known as the Sliema Front that has become the ideal spot for joggers and walkers, as well as a prolific meeting place for locals during the summer season. Romantic moon strolls, barbecues and open-air restaurants and cafes have made Sliema the hub of social nightlife. Sliema is also known for its numerous rocky beaches, water sports and hotels. Sliema, which means peace, comfort, was once a quiet fishing village on the peninsula across Marsamxett Harbour from Valletta and has views of the capital city. The population began to grow in 1853 and the town was declared a parish in 1878. Now Sliema and the coastline up to neighbouring St. Julian's constitutes Malta's main coastal resort. Sliema is considered a desirable place to live and is relatively affluent, with extremely high property prices compared to the national average. Historically, stylish villas and traditional Maltese townhouses lined the streets of Sliema. Sliema has now been ringed with modern apartment blocks, some of which are amongst the tallest buildings in Malta. This has resulted in significant traffic, parking and construction-related noise pollution issues. Residents of Sliema are stereotypically known for their usage of English as a first language, although this is changing in the 21st century due to demographic shifts. Maltese people from Sliema are referred to as Slimese. Etymology: Sliema is the Maltese word meaning peace and was used to salute someone. The triconsonantal root of the word is SLM. Sliema may have gotten its name from the Our Lady of Good Voyage Chapel, that now no longer exists. It periodically served as a reference point for the sailors and fishermen in Marsamxett Harbour. The construction age of the church is unknown, but it was included in a map by the Order of St. John even before being handed the Maltese Islands to them. The name could thus be connected with the first words of the Hail Mary prayer, which in Maltese is Sleem Galik Maria. There is also a possibility that the origin is from an Arabic first name or a Hebrew family name. History: the Knights of Malta period. At the Great Siege of 1565, Il Kortan, as it was then known, was a camp center for Turkish troops led by Dragut. He met his fate there, having been killed by a bombardment from Fort St. Elmo at the other flank of Marsamxett Harbour, where Sliema stands. Fort Tigné was eventually built by the Knights of St. John in the late 18th century and further developed by the British in later years. The British period. In 1855, a new church dedicated to Our Lady Star of the Sea was opened to public worship. Around the new church, the small village grew into a town. By 1878, the population grew to such an extent that the religious authorities had the Stella Maris Church declared a parish in its own right, and it was separated from St. Helen's Parish of Birkirkara. The town began to develop rapidly in the second half of the 19th century, becoming popular as a summer resort for wealthier Valletta residents. Their elegant villas and townhouses lined the quiet, inland streets. Various Victorian buildings graced its 3-kilometer sea promenade, which overlooked rugged rocks, farms and even a small sandy beach. In 1990, one of these farms, which had been abandoned, was transformed into a coastline garden known as Nyan Independenza. A few Victorian, as well as Art Nouveau houses, still remain in the inner streets, although only a handful remain along the shoreline, as there has been significant modern development of apartment blocks and hotels. A distinctive group of 6 traditional houses with Maltese balconies has survived remarkably intact at Belvedere Terrace, set back from Exzat. These houses overlook Manuel Island to the south across the Sliema Creek. The houses have heritage protection and the lower buildings between them and Exzat cannot be built upwards. The British built a number of fortifications on the Sliema Peninsula in the 19th century. These were Sliema Point Battery, Cambridge Battery and Garden Battery. In addition, the 18th century Fort Tigné remained in use as well, and barracks were built on the Tigné Peninsula. In 1881, the first seawater distillery on the island was erected in Sliema in order to provide water to the Tigné barracks. In 1882, the distillery was decommissioned and the building, which still stands today, has been occupied by a printing press since that time. The barracks it supplied water to were demolished in 2001 in order to make way for the development of Tinye Point development. The town has a considerable number of streets connected with the British era in Malta, such as Norfolk Street, Amory Street, Windsor Terrace, Graham Street, Milner Street and Fort Cambridge. In 1941, during the Second World War siege of Malta, Sliema was hit by some Axis bombers during an air raid that caused the death of 21 civilians. Post-independence, Sliema has been the site of intensive development in recent decades. The Victorian houses that line Tower Road have all been replaced by apartment buildings built in modern architectural style. Several of these have views of the Mediterranean Sea or Valletta, but their development has been controversial. The promenade has been upgraded in the late 1990s and is a common spot for leisurely walking, particularly on warm summer nights when it remains crowded into the early hours of the morning. Shopping is primarily centered in an area called the Ferries in the more recently opened Tinye Point shopping mall. Restaurants and cafes can be found along the promenade. Development, high population density, parking issues, and high property prices have led many younger people originally from the area are choosing to live elsewhere on the island, and consequently Sliema is suffering from an aging population. There are several foreign expatriates who reside in Sliema. There remains net inward migration to Sliema. The prevalence of use amongst Sliema residents of English as a first language is decreasing, although remains significantly higher than other localities on the island. Code switching in English sentences with peppered Maltese words and phrases is relatively common in Sliema, as well as St. Julian's, Pembroke, Sweechi, Madlina, San Juan and Capara, although there are several individuals who speak exclusively in English or Maltese without mixing the two. There are a number of Maltese people who are fluent in English but struggle with the Maltese language, and this reflects use of English at home and at English-speaking schools. Despite some misconceptions and stereotypes, the vast majority of people from Sliema are fluent in Maltese and speak it as a first language. Population and notable residents. The population of Sliema is over 20,000 and has a significant turnover of foreign expatriates who reside temporarily. The town was the residence of the late Giorgio Borg-Olivier, former Prime Minister and architect of Malta's independence, and the temporary residence of Manuel Dimick, who was one of Malta's foremost revolutionary thinkers at the turn of the 20th century. He died in exile in Egypt, and Lower Prince of Wales Road was renamed in his honor. Tas-Sliema is also the hometown of footballer Michael Mifsud and music artist Ira Lasco. Due to the iGaming industry's introduction in Malta, Sliema has also seen a huge influx of foreigners, primarily from Scandinavia. It was the birthplace of several famous people: former Prime Minister Alfred Sohn, Michael Falzon of the Malta Labour Party, George Stavala, High Commissioner for Malta in Australia during the 1950s and 1960s, Archbishop George Caruana, the Venerable Don Nazareno Camilleri, British journalist Peter Hitchens, vocalist Mark Storis of the Swiss heavy metal band Crocus, and Dublin-based singer-songwriter Adrian Crowley. Sliema is host to several notable members of the infamous Danish iGaming group known as Branchen, made famous by a hit song bearing the same name by recognized Danish rapper Brown Deluxe. It is also the location of Branchen's preferred meeting spot, one Thai restaurant that is located near Tower Road. Irish billionaire Dennis O'Brien has a residential address as Flat 660th, Suite F, Tinye Street in Sliema, according to O'Brien's own filing with the company's registration office. The Maltese-born, American naturalized actor Joseph Kalea lived in Sliema from his retirement in 1963 to his death in 1975. Education. A list of schools in Sliema: St. Joseph School Sliema, St. Francis Girls Secondary School, St. Dorothy's, St. Patrick's, Ursuline Creche, St. Benilde's, Government Primary School, English Language Schools, Language Studies International, Geo's English Language School, and Lingua School of Languages, Linguatime School of English, Tower Road, IELS, Matu Pulis Street, AM Language School, ECS English Communication School, English Language Academy, Maltalingua, Scuba Diving Schools, Malta Blue Diving, Landmarks, Stella Maris Church, Mother Parish of Sliema, Est 1878. Sacro Cuore Parish Church, Jesu, Nazarenu Parish Church, San Gregor Parish Church, the Chapel of Our Lady of Graces, Fort Tinye, Tinye Point, Sliema Point Battery, St. Julian's Tower, Palazzo Capua, Exiles Beach, Independence Gardens, The Three Trees, Chalet. Churches. Sliema has a number of Catholic churches such as the one dedicated to Jesus of Nazareth known as In Nazarenu, 3 dedicated to Our Lady. Our Lady of the Sacred Heart, Our Lady of Mount Carmel and Stella Maris, and 1 dedicated to Pope Gregory I. In addition to the above list of churches, is the Anglican Holy Trinity Church built in 1866 in Rudolph Street. Feasts. Like all Maltese towns and villages, the annual Sliema Parish feasts are popular, especially those held in honor of the Our Lady Stella Maris and Our Lady of the Sacred Heart in July. Other feasts celebrated in the locality are those in honor of Our Lady of Mount Carmel and St. Gregory. Band clubs. Sliema also has 4 band clubs which take part in the parish feasts held in the summer months and are active all year round. These societies are Stella Maris Band Club, the Società Filarmonica Sliema Band Club, Mount Carmel Band Club and St. Gregory Band Club. Sports. Tas-Sliema's football club, Sliema Wanderers, is one of the most successful on the island, having won the domestic league no less than 26 times. The football nursery can be found in the Tinya Sports Complex. Sliema Aquatic Sports Club is also the leading club in water polo, winning a total of 31 leagues and 25 cups since 1912. Their main rivals are the Beluda Bayside Neptunes WPSC. Sliema Aquatic Sports Club is not only a water polo club but also a swimming club from where many famous swimmers trained and also became national record holders. Another team hailing from Sliema is Exiles SC. Furthermore, Sliema is also represented in rugby by Stompers RFC. Scouting. The first Sliema Scout Group is the oldest surviving scout group outside the United Kingdom and was founded in 1909 by Sir Edgar Bernard and are still a major influence on scouting in Malta. Over the years, the Sliema Group has collected a wealth of scouting tradition and has proudly passed this knowledge on from generation to generation. Zones in Tas-Sliema. The Ferries. Font Godar. Fordina. Gar Id Dud. Kisi Sana. Savoy. Surfside. The Strand. Teelit Sigriat. Lazy Corner. Tigne Point. Exiles. Sliema Main Roads. Ixzat. Trique Basaza. Trique Il Kabira. Trique Itori. Trique Manuel Dimmick. Trique Rudolfu. Trique Sir Adrian Dingley. Zat Ta, Tigne. Zat Ta, Kisi Sana. Pijaza Nunsjata. Pijaza Santana. Twin towns. Sister cities. Sliema is twinned with Bialystok, Poland. Murat, France.
tomorrow, why? Anywhere you say, anywhere you say, anywhere. anywhere.